Hey everybody, what's going on? It's yours truly again, Miss Cat Rio, the girl with 9 lives, and here is the latest video from my blog. So today was not the best of days for me. No, sir, it wasn't. And I know that we're all gonna have those days, but when they come really hard, you know. Very fast, very unforgiving. Sorry, let me adjust this real quick. So my voice may sound a little hoarse. It's because I actually have almost lost my voice. My therapist told me about this technique of going down to the bottom of the swimming pool and then just screaming at the top of your lungs in order to release anxiety and stress. And it's actually very helpful to do, but in the process, I always lose my voice when I do it. Although this time around, you know what? It really didn't work that well. I guess the level of fucked upness is so high that even that exercise did not relieve me of my pain inside. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer today, but I always, you know, in the beginning when I started making these videos, I only wanted to put like my best face forward and only wanted to like make videos when I was in a really good mood and having really good days, right? But that's not reality, and I think it would be irresponsible of me to not include days that are shitty, you know, because we all have them, and I want to show you how I deal with it, you know, obviously by screaming at the bottom of the pool and losing my voice, but there are so many other ways to deal with it. Let's just start from the beginning of today. Let's cover that a little bit. Now, last week, I have to say, was a stellar week. I had such a good week. It was filled with people, new people. I met some cool guys through the app, Tammy, the trans dating app that I joined. And it was just all in all, like really a great week, you know. But all good things must come to an end, and the universe is always about balance. And so for me, it's no different. So my good time ended yesterday, and the reality of the opposite side of what I was experiencing last week has finally laid its ugly head right down on my lap. Anything that can go wrong today absolutely went wrong. I was feeling very dysphoric today. I suffer from gender dysphoria, so oftentimes, no matter what I do, no matter how I actually look to people, I always feel like I will feel on days like that I am really not feminine looking at all, and feel that I'm really overly manly. And when you really truly feel that you're a woman on the inside, to appear manly or to even perceive that your appearance is looking manly is a very uncomfortable feeling. I just feel like incredibly insecure, and I feel like uncomfortable in my own skin. I feel like everybody can look at me and just tell that I'm trans, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know what happens is that we often get discriminated against when people find out that we're transsexual or transgender. So, you know, it's just something that, I don't know, I like to avoid at all costs if possible, you know. But today, on days that I'm feeling dysphoric, you know, like today, it just seems like everybody is just like all eyes on me, kind of like being able to tell that I'm trans and making fun of me and stuff like that. And it really, I can go so many weeks and so many months even sometimes without having any incidents of people ridiculing me or being transphobic towards me, you know. But then every now and then it happens, you know, and I think it happens to most of us. Obviously those that completely pass 100% probably doesn't happen to with strangers. It might happen with people that know that they're trans, but in my case, some people can tell, some people can't tell. So it's really just up in the air, and it's a mishmash, a mixed bag of people's reactions towards me. And some days I deal with it better than others. But since we're on the topic, I just kind of wanted to go into a little bit of that as the topic of this video. So this brought me back to the beginning of my transition. So I am going on 4.5 years now. Soon it will be 5 years, 5 glorious years that I decided to transition. And but the first 2 years were absolutely dreadful, you guys. I can't even begin to explain to you the level of misery that I experienced due to my transition. Sorry, it's hot in here. One of the things that for one, I knew that I was going to experience a tremendous amount of adversity when I transitioned. You know, initially, I knew that I was going to face like people being discriminatory against me, and that I might possibly lose some friends, and that I might even possibly lose a job because I work in the barbering industry. But I had no idea what was coming. It really took me by surprise to see the level of prejudice and hate that came my way. So not to go into any gory details about what happened, but basically what I lost when I came out as trans is I lost my entire clientele of 26 years at that time of doing hair, being a barber. I lost every single one overnight when I transitioned and showed up to work dressed as a female. On top of that, I lost the job that I was working at. And not only have I lost that job, but I subsequently lost every opportunity I had to work anywhere as a barber. So initially, thinking I was going to lose one job, I actually lost my entire career because I have not really had a steady job in 4.5 years. So another thing that I lost was all my friends. You know, I completely lost every single friend that I had. And then there were the ones that stuck around for a little bit, were only sticking around to see like if I would eventually just go back to living as my previous self. Or the ones that considered what I was going through just a phase or a nervous breakdown or whatever the fuck they thought. But when they saw that I was not going back, that I was only progressing forward in my transition, they completely stopped and being friends with me and alienated me. The same goes for my husband. I mean, not that he alienated me, he actually stayed with me for the entire 4 years of my transition, and then eventually decided to divorce me because, well, he liked men. So since I was no longer a man, I no longer was appealing to him, and he lost interest in me, and his feelings changed for me. That being said, we're still very close friends, and I love him a lot, and you know, we've moved on. It's been 8 months now since I got separated from him and divorced. So just, you know, trying to pick up the pieces and try to live my life, you know. One of the reasons why I decided to make this channel was because I wanted to document my life and document all of the experiences that I have as I transition, because I thought that maybe my experiences can actually be helpful to somebody else that's in the same situation or a similar situation that I'm in. In fact, it was really quite surprising when I would go back and watch these videos after the fact that I would learn actually from myself, you know, that I would see how my behavior, my opinions on things, and my thoughts on things had changed throughout time since the beginning of my transition. And in hindsight, we always learn for 2020, we see 2020, you know, but imagine documenting your life and then being able to go back and reference a certain incident or a certain day that something happened. And you afford yourself a real opportunity to learn about yourself by doing that, which is what, and having that reference at the tip of my fingers, I'm able to go back, you know, whenever I would like to, and view my videos and just kind of learn about myself, you know, and learn why I think the way that I think and why I act the way that I act. Because it's really sometimes not clear as to why I do the things that I do. But being able to reference it really helps. And also wanting you guys to learn from my situations. Maybe I could help you in some way if you're experiencing the same thing. Maybe you can relate. Maybe it will help you have or inspire you to just keep going and not give up on your transition, or not give up on yourself or even on life, you know, because life is hard, you know. And when you decide to transition, you make yourself and you make your life so much more difficult. You have no idea. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't regret transitioning by any means. If I had the opportunity to redo my life, I would still decide to transition if I was born a biological male again, because being able to live as how I feel inside is glorious, and nothing can replace that. I had two individuals today. One was my mom, and one was a very close friend that I was kind of venting on my problems with finding work and my financial problems. I was just talking to them about it because I just needed to vent. And each of them separately, not together, but separately, they suggested to me or asked me if I would consider going back to living as a man in order to be more financially self-sufficient. When they asked me that, I just kind of broke down and cried. I mean, two people that I'm very close with asking me that question, such a question, was something that I just did not expect. And it kind of made me feel like they thought that by just taking off all of this garb and my makeup and, taking my hair off, I would just be a guy again and everything would just go back to normal. And honestly, if that's what they thought, which is the impression that I got from their question and their suggestion, then I feel like they don't even know me at all, because it's much more than just what you see cosmetically. It's something that's internal, and I've gone so far up to this point to live this way. To go back is something I can't even consider. I can't even consider it. It's just something that's so beyond my understanding. I just can't. It's like telling somebody that they need to go back and, I don't know, not be themselves. How can you not be yourself and be happy with life? I actually would rather be dead than not be able to live as who I thought I was. Now, I'm not angry at either one of these two people. They both love me very much, and I think that the reason why they went there was because they themselves are at their wits' end in knowing how to help me in my situation. They just feel helpless, and therefore they just ran out of suggestions, and I think they pulled this one out of their ass or something. I don't know, but it's not to say that many trans women don't go back. I know plenty that have. I know plenty that have lived as a trans woman, and probably even men, I'm sure. Although I think it's much easier for trans men to exist in this world than it is for trans women, if I'm not mistaken. I guess it depends on the person. You might have to ask each one, but the impression that I get is that it's easier to be a man in this world, even if you weren't born one, than it is to be a woman. Especially if you're a man converting to a woman, it's very shameful to people. I don't think that these statements were made maliciously. I think that they were truly just trying to help me, but I don't think they knew, they couldn't have known the impact of what they asked me had on me. But I have nothing but forgiveness in my heart and love towards both of them, so I'm not angry at them. But it just really left me with sort of like a bruise in my sense of self, To think that anybody would even consider that. To think that it's just so basic and so cosmetic and so superficial that we can just go back and forth as we please. We're not non-binary people. That's what non-binary people do. And that's what really aggravates me about them, is that they just change their clothes and they want to ride our coattails, and they don't even go through half the shit that we go through in our struggle. They may get ridiculed, yes, because they look ridiculous, but they don't even experience anything that we experience because they can basically just change their clothes back to normal if they wanted to, and we can't do that. I take synthetic hormones, I block my testosterone. If I were to go back to being a man, my stuff would not work the same anymore. I would not develop the same. I would not produce the same amount of testosterone anymore. It would be, in effect, going back to being a basic unit or something, because it's just, this is me. This is who I am. I'm a female. So it is what it is, But that's, didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but so that's what I'm dealing with today. In the beginning of my transition, it was certainly more difficult for me because I didn't pass at all. I think the more that you pass for the gender that you are, aspiring to be or be perceived as, the easier it is for you to maneuver through life relatively unscathed without any type of obstacles that, you know, most trans people encounter. Some people may disagree with me, and that's fine. Everybody has their own opinion. These are my opinions. I personally think it's easier if you pass for the gender that you're trying to be. Totally, well, hands down. Because in the beginning of my transition, when I didn't pass at all, I got more abuse, more ridicule, more humiliation, more discrimination, like you name it. It happened 10 times more. But now that I passed to some people, I would say like 50-50 it seems. Half the people that I encounter think that I'm a natural born female, and half of them can tell that I'm trans. Nevertheless, it's all okay. It's all okay because I know that I'm trans. I know that I'm not a natural born female, so I am okay with being trans. What I'm not okay with is people not giving me the opportunity to live my life and to live